speak through Fox News and let the independents who are tuning into you, let them know what it is that she stands for, the principles behind her positions.
It used to be that new candidates were advised to brush up on the issues so they could handle questions from anyone, even tough questions. The idea behind that was that it prepared you also for actually governing. But now the advice to candidates is only to talk to sympathetic reporters.
We need to start now by electing strong leaders who aren't afraid to shake it up. We need strong, principled leaders, public servants who respect our Constitution.
Sticking to our guns, let's play hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. Leading up tonight, bloodless. In her first interview since that disastrous Facebook video, Sarah Palin went to the comfy confines of Fox News and offered nothing. No apology for inflammatory rhetoric and no regrets for the use of that term, blood libel. Speaking for her posse of Rush, Mark, and Sean, she said, "They can't make us sit down and shut up." They being that offstage posse she totes around with her for rebuke. Also, you heard it here first on Hardball. Long before Tucson, we warned about all the loose talk about guns and hatred directed toward public officials. We, like Gabby Giffords herself, were being preemptive. We'll show you what we said, what was said here on Hardball, and remind all that if Jared Loughner didn't connect the dots between hateful rhetoric and a politician, who's so sure someone else won't? Plus, second chances after a year of attacking Democrats for fixating on health care. Guess what? House Republicans are fixated on health care and not jobs. They're devoting control of the House, which they now have, with a symbolic vote to repeal health care that has no chance of becoming law. This gives the Democrats a second chance to sell health care reform themselves. Can they sell it better this time? And Ron Reagan is debuting tonight the book he's written on his father. Can't wait for that. And remember tonight, he just died, Sergeant Shriver, who died today at the age of 95. I've got lots to say about this amazing, wonderful man. Let's start with Sarah Palin. Shoshana Walsh is a political reporter for the Daily Beast and co-author of Sarah from Alaska. Shoshana, thank you for joining us. And MSNBC political analyst David Corn writes about Mother Jones and politics today. Shoshana, you know, you cover, you understand better than I do from this distance, all the way from Alaska. Sometimes she's hard to fathom. She can see Alaska. We can't always see her. I'm sorry, she can see Russia. We can't always see her that clearly. What is this use of a term blood libel? It's strange use of a language. She chose to use it, hid for a week, popped up on the comfortable Fox News where she works last night, and sort of explained it, but I don't know what to make of her. Why she use phrases she's not apparently familiar with, and then a week later say she's familiar with them, and only talk about it with someone who's basically her colleague?
Right. Well, I mean, she did go on Fox News. It was Sean is one of her colleagues, and as you said, it was a safe confines. But I thought what was interesting and what you just pointed out when talking about blood libel is in that interview she said that nobody asked her if she knew what it meant. And
well, who would have asked her? She's in an igloo up there somewhere. She's not answering any questions. Right. Who would have asked her? She's done no interviews, and she says nobody's asked me. What does it mean to say nobody's asked me if you don't let anybody near you who could ask you?
It was really hard to figure out, and she said it in a way that she was quite incredulous that nobody had asked her. But really, I mean, at this point, everyone wants to know what she meant by that, and
everything
why she would use such an inflammatory term. Everything from her is a rebuke of someone else. You ask her a question, she attacks people, these offstage people she keeps referring to, these they, as somebody who didn't get around to asking her, as if she was being interviewed at length and the question never came up. Here she is, David. Exactly.
You respond to this. Here's Sarah Palin. I can't call it an interview. In a meeting among colleagues on Fox News. Here she is on Sean last night responding to the broad criticism of her for the use of that term. Let's listen.
I don't know how the heck they would know whether I did or didn't know the term blood libel. Nobody's ever asked me. And blood libel obviously means being falsely accused of having blood on your hands. And in this case, that's exactly what was going on.
You know, they used to say about Barry Goldwater, I shouldn't have to wait till Friday to know what he meant on Tuesday. You know, I mean, why didn't she tweet? That seems to be her way of talking today.
Yes.
Why didn't she tweet an explanation of the term when it came into question?
Or Sean Hannity last night could have said, okay, Governor, did you know at the time what it meant? What did you think it meant? He didn't take the opportunity. It was wide open. You know, Sarah Palin had a great opportunity yet again to speak beyond her base and say, you know, Sean, I used the term, I think it fit, but I understand why some people might think it's over the top. And as John McCain wrote in that wonderful op-ed piece about dialing back our rhetoric, I'm happy to do my part. And I hope the people who attacked me are happy to do theirs. She can never seem to rise above this self-victimization. You know, that she's always, pardon the pun, the target of everything. And even if she's right...
Well, grievances are numbered.
Exactly. Even if she is right, I think she's trying to mirror the resentment that her base feels.
Shoshana, once you get back at this, you're the expert. Let's talk about this. Here she is last night using the phrase she would be comfortable with sticking to her guns in that interview, if you will, with Sean Hannity last night.
I will continue to speak out. They're not going to shut me up. They're not going to shut you up, or Rush, or Mark Levin, or Tea Party patriots, or those who, as I say, respectfully and patriotically petition their government for change. They can't make us sit down and shut up. And if they ever were to succeed in doing that, then our republic will be destroyed.
Well, there she gets into that weird kind of staccato, our republic will be destroyed, and then she's talking about destroyed. In other words, if we don't hear from Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, and her, the republic will be destroyed. And by the way, nobody's told them to, quote, unquote, shut up. People have said, stop talking about guns and raising the heat level about guns and your hatred of elected officials, because somebody's going to connect those two issues, guns and how much they hate a politician. We know one guy did. No evidence he was politically inspired, but we know he shot a politician. We know he shot about a lot of people at a political event. And we know what else? He used a gun. I'm sorry. It's related. Does she see the connection between guns, political hatred, and targeting politicians like she did in her TV thing with the crosshairs on it and talking about reloading and bullseyes? Does she see the connection between that and reality?
Well, I mean, I think that everything that's happened since Tucson and people at first going after her and saying that she was connected to it, she has felt so under attack, and that's why you see these series of really mistakes where, as David said, she had the opportunity to say, hey, I have nothing to do with this. The right wing has nothing to do with this. This is a crazy person that's attached to this. But it's a good time for us as a country to come together and say, hey, this language doesn't work. And I'm sorry for that crosshairs map. I'm sorry for using language that I have in the past, but that didn't happen. And this is another opportunity where if she could have really appealed to more people, and she has not done that. And I'm somebody who's always thought that she wants to run for president, that she's planning to run for president, but more of these moves, I'm just not sure at this point. And I've always said that.
Do you think it's possible that she's given up on being a legitimate candidate? Legitimate, I mean, obviously she would be legitimate, but a mainstream possibility, instead decide she's going to be something like Buffalo Bill in a Wild West show. She's going to be the country lady, the Mama Grizzly, put on kind of a national show, which could be very lucrative for her and very successful and be somewhat entertaining and perhaps on occasion useful, but never really try to get 51% of the country. Do you think she might say, I'd rather have my slug, my 10% that loves me? If the other 90 doesn't like me, I'm better. Do you think she might be going that way? Just your thought on that.
You know, Chris, I've always said no. I thought that she wanted to run for president, but the moves in the last few days make me question that, make me think she does just want to be a talking head, and she just wants to play to her fervent, passionate supporters, where she may, no matter what she says, they love her and they'll support her. She has had opportunities to, including this one, to talk to more Americans, to appeal to more Americans, and she has decided against that. So
this tragedy was ready-made for her to take a step, even if just inches, beyond her base. Right, Chris? She could have said anything that Shoshana and I suggested, or anything of her own. I tend to think, we think, what's her strategy? What's her game? What's her aim?
Guns.
Maybe she
has to keep talking about guns.
Maybe she's just speaking from the heart. Maybe the most important thing to Sarah Palin is the fact that she feels under attack and she just has to express herself, which is not necessarily a good way to reach out or win a presidency, but it does, it does work.
To make both your points, you notice she didn't include herself with elected officials or Don McCain or people that have ran for president before. She included in her tongue or her group Rush Limbaugh, who's pretty far to the right, Mark Levin, who's further to the right, Sean, it's hard to tell, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
She's identified with the most far right, in some cases, in fact, I think all those cases, except for Sean, who can have a little personality, she's identified with the most right-wing people on the air.
As if these are the leaders of the Republican or conservative movement.
We're not going to shut up.
Well, and she said we're not going to, more importantly, we're not going to let them shut us up, which of course is not
us now. She's now the and last thought, Shoshana, is she the circled wagon? Is she the Mama Grizzly with the wagon train circled now? And in the wagon train circle are Mark Levin, her new friend, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and her, not the Republican Party.
Well, that's what you're seeing in that interview yesterday. I mean, before that, I would have said that she's running for president. I still believe that, but she is ignoring ways for her to appeal to the rest of the country. I thought her TV show made her more appealing to the rest of the country, but in these moves and these decisions that she is behind, I mean, it's not like people are pulling the wires. She's making the decisions here. She's just not appealing to a broader part of the country, a broader part of the electorate. Her supporters will say she should defend herself, that she was being linked to this crime where she has absolutely no link. She has to defend herself, but she could have gone about it in a different way that would have made her more appealing to the rest of the country.
It seems all she cares about is Planet Palin.
Well, Patriots.
Which is a large, sized asteroid body.
I hate the word patriot used exclusively.
But
it means that other people aren't.
No. I was just saying she is not thinking beyond her own horizons, which is not good for any politician.
Well,
but it works well if you're trying to raise a lot of money from a small
This
group.
strategy of going on Sean Hannity and talking to her colleague under obviously comfortable conditions and taking a whole week to respond to a firestorm she started is not the usual kind of campaigning we're used to. I'm with you, Shoshana. Shoshana, I don't think she's running for president. I think she's running for Mama Grizzly, and she's getting there.
And that's hard for me to say that. I didn't believe that before.
Yeah, I think she wants to be Mama Grizzly.
Perhaps we are not properly educating our youth in the exceptional nature of America. It's worrisome because this belief in American exceptionalism is something that every new generation has got to make its own if we expect our republic and our liberties to be secure and to live on. For America to survive, we have got to pass this on to that next generation, to the young kids who are here, to the students.
This real America, does it exist, John?
Well, in terms of real American and exceptionalism, look, the most basic thing that people can do in support of a democracy is vote. And we take our votes very seriously. The people of Alaska voted for Sarah Palin, and Sarah Palin quit. Exceptional people don't quit. And I seriously tell my kids this probably 2 or 3 times a week. It's better to lose than to quit. So she can sit there and she can talk about being exceptional. She can talk about better of America. If she were a better person, she would have stood and fought. She chose to check out and to do it to make money. I've got no problem with making money, but that's what she is. She's a reality
I
star.
have a different observation, though. He hears what's going on. That speech, the first 20 minutes, was every vapid cliche strung together. It was complete, almost nonsense.
Suppose Senator John Doe puts forth a constitutional amendment that would outlaw abortion, even in cases of rape or incest, and he asked you to attend the announcement and support him in that. Would you do it?
I would. Yes, a proposal like that, I would stand by it.
Let's be completely clear about the facts here. There is no place in the world and no time in history where restricting women's reproductive rights makes a people or a nation more free or more equal. These extreme positions on abortion are, without any question, a war on American girls and women, and the fact that there are women who are both complicit and participatory in it is really neither surprising nor unprecedented. It has always been true, and it is incredibly important that we recognize that despite the fact that we can be very proud of these women and as politicians, that the question is, how do women as citizens fare on the other side of them either being elected or not elected?
I'll only bring it up because you guys brought it up. Is Sarah Palin important in this race? Obviously, Joe Miller is her candidate of choice.
I think it hurts him more than it helps him. I mean, she does have really low numbers, and people that did support her and walked door to door in the snow. I mean, you think it's cold now? You wait a month. People walked door to door for her to get her elected, and she quit. And there's a lot of things you can do in Alaska, but you can't quit. You can't run dogs and quit. You can't row a boat and quit. You won't survive here if you're a quitter. It's an Alaskan value. So she, even people that are still conservative, still they see her as a quitter.